we solve with machine learning and artificial intelligence what anyone else is solving still with humans.
Welcome everyone to UpTech Report. UpTech Report is sponsored by TerraLeap. Learn how to leverage the power of video at terraleap.io. I'm excited today for our guest who's joining us is Pere Codina, based in Austin, Texas, CEO of Kompyte. Welcome, Pere. Now, your product is a competitor analysis software. Is that a good way to explain it? How would you say it?
We call it competitive intelligence automation.
Okay, so it's really about that automation, which I love. Technology is powerful. So if anyone's in product marketing or sales enablement or another business leader that's basically wanting to track everything their competitor is doing or making their changes to their website, their product, their campaigns, this could be a tool they want to check that out. Now, on your site, you state, automate the mundane, repetitive tasks associated with competitive research. Curious, what problem did you set out to solve that has, and maybe how has it changed over time?
Right. So, the problem kind of like starts with a market reality, which is landscapes are getting more and more crowded with more and more players. And this has a consequence. It means that it takes a lot of time to stay up to date on what's happening in your competitive landscape. So we noticed that for a normal company that has like 10 to 20 players in their landscape, we're talking about 60 to 100 hours of manual work every week if you want to know everything that's happening, right? Obviously, companies don't have this time, so they end up, doing partial analysis or, tracking just a bunch of these guys, and the ultimate result is that their sales reps and people that has to position the company, they don't have all the intelligence available to do it properly. So that's kind of like the problem we solve, and we solve it by eliminating this manual component and fully automating the competitive analysis.
Everyone loves saving time. That's kind of a nice thing, especially anything that is mundane, and that's where technology can shine. So curious if we dive a little bit deeper around the technology itself, tell me more, how does it work and how is it different than anything else out there?
Right. So the thing here is, what makes it different is that we solve with machine learning and artificial intelligence what anyone else is solving still with humans, right? So, there are solutions that may have like some level of software, but they still require a lot of manual work. We almost eliminate this human component from the equation, right? And the way we do it is, we have a bunch of crawlers that they go out there and they check everything that's happening, right? On your competitive landscape. What are these guys doing? Especially when it comes to like, messaging, positioning, what products, pricing, anything that is available there, out there to keep track of. And then we use a set of machine learning algorithms that are able to understand what is going on. And by understanding what is going on, what is happening, what is this company actually doing, we can do a bunch of like operations like filtering out the noise, classifying this intelligence, organizing it, and curate it with machine learning, right? And it's still not, let's say, 100%, but it's so close that 60 hours of manual work is just 1 hour. So now you can keep track of like, tens of companies, and it's just going to take a few minutes of your day, and you don't need to hire any external analyst, or you don't need to rely or allocate a lot of resources internally in your company. It's once everything is set up, which takes a very little amount of time to set up because it's also automated. Once everything is up and running, it's only a few minutes, and this is something that you can enjoy from week 1 or week 2.
That's why I'm really fascinated with the use case of AI, machine learning, when it comes to business use cases, because it's okay if it only gets you 80% there, because it still saves you 80% of the time. Versus in consumers, it's like you want it to work 100% of the time, otherwise you get annoyed.
Yeah.
Now, does all this information come in effectively into a dashboard? Is that how it's saving your time? Because then you can just look at a dashboard of the top stats.
It's like a SaaS. It's a SaaS platform in software, where basically what you have like is a section where you have like a curated list of insights that are relevant to you, right? And this is what we built at the beginning. Customers build their own setup, and what they do is like they can say, I want to have a special filter here for anything changing on pricing and messaging or anything related to features and integrations, right? And then we also have like, this marketing automation where you can like program your own automations and say, if this happens, then do this or do that. So it's the combination of automation with machine learning, or the results of the AI, what helps even like a streamline, the building of the reports. We also have the reporting part where you can create any report, right? And the combination of these three elements is like, okay, when the AI detects a change in pricing, that this pricing is doing, this change contains these words or is related to these things, or it's being tagged by the machine learning system with this and that. Please update this report, or please send it to me so that I can check it out. So ultimately, once it's set up, if you're a product marketer or someone like in charge of doing competitive analysis in the company, all what you need to do is like log in, look at the last updates, see if there is any report that needs to be updated. You go check the report and you update the messaging and the positioning, which is what product marketers are for, right?
Can you share any use cases or case studies of clients that are using it right now?
Yeah, I mean, there is a list of like case studies a bunch of case studies in our website. One that I like to mention is a pretty recent one. It's like a new customer that's been using Kompyte for like, I think it's like 3 months or 4 months now. When we did the first quarterly business review, they said, listen, this quarter, we have noticed a 9% increase in our conversion rates against our competitors. And we won all the deals to our top competitor. And it happened the first quarter. So like, we're talking that normally when you start doing software or like, working with mid-market companies and so on, the first weeks and months could be like kind of like for the setup. In this case, it was like so quick that they started winning deals on week 2, right? And they reported it's like, hey, we won all the deals to the main competitor because we were able to build this battle card so quickly and keep them up to date, and we won all the deals, and that was not like this before, right?
Pere, I appreciate that case study to help understand one use case. Your business model is effectively a monthly subscription, a yearly subscription?
It's normally a yearly subscription, yeah.
Based on number of seats?
It's based on, it's based on multiple factors. First one is like the number of competitors, but we're talking about tens of competitors in every package, right? So it's, a standard package is going to let you track at least 30 or 60 companies, right? Because that's what robots do.
The best kind of size of company then so not anyone would say, oh, I want to use this unless they're really tracking a good number of people, right?
There is a minimum. We normally, the moment you have like 5 competitors in your landscape, that starts to be a lot of manual work, right? So you can start leveraging intelligence. The more players are in your competitive landscape, and talking about competitors, we have a bunch of companies that are also tracking not only competitors, but also partners or anyone else in their competitive landscape they want to be aware of, or potential new competitors or companies overlapping. And they start tracking 10 companies, and then suddenly you look at, you speak to them and look at how are things going, and they say like, yeah, we're tracking 45 companies now. And it's like, okay, cool, interesting, right? So everyone wants to know what's happening out there. So yeah, we're very generous in the number of competitors, and then it also includes like a certain amount of users, and depending on if these are like product marketers or these are like sales users or consumers of intelligence, and also there are different layers based on what's included in every layer, and what pieces of information are you actually collecting from your competitors, right? So what are the different channels that you are tracking?
Here's a question I don't know if it is a good one to answer, is can you even help them find other competitors they didn't know existed?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that depends on the package. One of the first package we released a long time ago was a search marketing package where basically, we would track, what's happening with keywords and who is showing up organically and, on advertising. And on top of this, we already have a database of like, hundreds of thousands of companies, millions of web pages that we are tracking. And we can suggest you competitors based on based on all these elements. If they have a website that looks like your website, we will report it to you. If they are being positioned or they are like, they're being organically ranked or someone is talking about them and we believe that's kind of like related, we're also going to report it to you or suggest it as a competitor. Yeah.
What's the most exciting feature that you guys have released recently or working on releasing that you'd want to share?
Yeah, I think the first one is this shift in this machine learning algorithm. That's great. It's like the moment you see what machine learning can do and what you can do. It's like, how is this possible, right? It would take me years to go through all this data. And the fact that this is analyzing websites like almost like a human would do it, at least for what we wanted to do, it's crazy, right? So it's like, okay, so this is detecting anything that's happening out there and it's actually curating it. It's like, yeah, it's happening. And that moment was like, okay, that's great. Another one is like all the combination, like the automation. You know, if you still generate a lot of noise, it is almost impossible to automate, right? Because you're gonna end up sending false positives, sending fake alerts for things that are not relevant. But the moment that you can use machine learning to report only what's relevant, then you can start automating, right? And this combination, this is working great.
What do you think they should be thinking about right now when it comes to competitive analysis?
First one is markets are competitive, and that shouldn't be a problem. That's just how it is. And the more disruption and technology are there, the more companies you have to keep track of. Fortunately, there is technology to help you out there, right? And I think the most important thing is these guys are excellent at finding out how to win the competitors, right? And if they have all the data inputs and they have all the information they need to have, they are very good at positioning against them, right? And positioning against competitors and making their products shine, right? And being unique. So what I would tell them is like, hey, automate everything else. Let robots do the legwork for you. And focus on what matters, which is making your product unique and making it different and making it special for your customers, right? And they are excellent at doing this. This is actually, what they like spending time on. And yeah, time is limited.
It's an interesting point for one who does software for competitive analysis. Like, focus on what you do well. Yeah, it's good to know what they're doing, but that's what you need to put your energy.
The only way to be number one is like know what number two and number three are doing all the time, right? And if number two and number three, that was like 10 years ago. Now there is number 10, number 20. There is a lot of players in a landscape. So if you want to, let's say, if you want to effectively position against against all these guys, and differentiate from them, you have to know what's happening out there, right? Otherwise, you may be thinking you're different and you're not that different. And
but
that can change every week.
But is a balance of knowing what they are doing and also being able to create and plan and realize how you're unique at the same time.
The thing is, like, these guys are extremely busy guys. They have a lot of things to do on their plate. Competitive analysis is a part of what they have to do. They have to do a lot of work. They have to talk to customers. They have to look at their industries. They have to talk to the product guys, collaborate with the roadmaps, enable sales. There is a lot of tasks that product marketers have to do, and these teams are not very large teams, right? So what I think is like, okay, why do you need a product marketer in your company, right? To win. You need them to win, to position against competitors, to send the message to the wall, right? Okay, so let them send the message to the wall, and we get the robots to do the rest.
Love it. Speaking of the fact that product marketing has to do so many different things, are there any other integrations or future integrations you're looking to do, or API connections to other platforms and automation tools? Right.
So we already integrate a collection of tools and solutions. So we integrate Salesforce, we integrate HubSpot. We have an embedded solution that integrates in a lot of places. So you can actually have a report of Kompyte, share a report on Kompyte anywhere, and we can also we're already integrating Slack, we're integrating Microsoft Teams, Drive, Google Drive, and a bunch of other tools. We're working on an API for the future, although this is something that we're still not. It's not the main priority for now, but we're definitely working on an API. So far, we have a good list of integrations. I think we integrate with the majority of the tools that our customers are already using.
If you had to share anything about what your 5-year plan, where do you see the company in 5 years, and your roadmap that you're most excited about?
Right. So, two things here. First thing is we believe this is a new category. It's when, kind of like a new market, something very new. We believe this is going to explode. The reason why this is going to explode is because it's not that there are going to be less companies in the world, right? So companies are going to be more and more companies, and landscapes are going to get more crowded, right? So the second thing is because it works. It is clear that companies that are automating competitive intelligence and battle cards, and combining these two elements, are actually winning more deals than the companies that are not doing it, right? And based on this, we believe that this is going to be a great category, a very large market, and we are, better positioned, or we're perfectly positioned to lead this category. So, we believe we're going to be the leaders.
When you started Kompyte, was it 6-7 years ago?
Yeah, not that much, 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Gotcha.
5, 6 years ago. Yeah.
What's one thing you would wish you had known 5 years ago?
Oh, I mean, we have a very standard story, or like a very particular story, which is we started in Spain, in Barcelona, Spain. And I think the advice that we should have known then is target the US. It's until we started targeting the US, and then, our life changed. And, we probably didn't know enough about, how to create categories and so on. We didn't even thought it was going to be a new category at that time. We just spotted the problem, and there was no solution for this problem, right? And then suddenly we realized that, our first customers were in the US, and this is how we end up here.
Well, for those that want to hear more about Pere's story, stick around for part 2 of our interview, where we're going to dive into a little bit deeper. Thank you, though, so much for Pere for sharing where you guys are headed and this fascinating space that is so crucial for product marketing. Appreciate it, man. Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to UpTechReport.com and let us know.